Okay, I messed that up, so I have to do a new video for the next entry, which is July 5th, 1993. It's almost 4 o'clock in the morning. We've been driving all day, and we just stopped an hour or two ago here in New Orleans for the night. I just finished rereading your journal to make sure it still said the things I wanted it to say in the right way, and for the most part, it does. To be honest, I feel like I'm in a dream. Everything is happening so terribly fast. Today will make it exactly 1 week since I found out Dr. Rui was delivering you on Thursday. Just think, a week ago I didn't even know I'd be saying goodbye to you yet. Things didn't go the way I thought they would last time I wrote. I thought I was going to say goodbye to you on Friday, but God had mercy on me and blessed me with one more night to spend with you. When I spoke with Dr. Rui that morning, I asked him if I could stay an extra night to sleep because I had stayed up with you literally the entire night before and had gotten absolutely no sleep. So he said yes, and I was already planning on staying in the hospital Friday night, even though you were supposed to go home on Friday. So the lady came in to do all the legal adoption stuff. Joshua, signing that paper was so incredibly hard. I couldn't do it. I just sat there with a pen in my hand, crying with the paper, a big blur before my eyes. I just couldn't do it for the longest time. Finally, I got it together and asked God to help me, and I signed it. You were in my arms the entire time. Then Stacy, the adoption agent, went downstairs to get Michael and Linda and have them sign all of their papers and then bring them up to our room to take you home. But she said that your pediatrician hadn't been in to see you and that you probably wouldn't be discharged until the next day. So I sat there holding you close. My mom and Sarah were also there, and we waited for everyone to come back. Finally, they came up and walked in the door and came right to you to hold you and to see how you were doing. Stacy told them that you'd have to stay another night, and they were very upset, but of course, I was ecstatic. I was so happy I could have cried. One more night alone with my baby. It was more than I could ever have dreamed for. So I asked Michael and Linda to stay and to spend the day with us so that we could all get to know each other better. And they did. My mom left sometime earlier with Sarah, so it was just the four of us. I can't even remember what we talked about anymore. All I know is that while I sat there watching them hold you and love you and fuss over you, I knew even more so that I did the right thing. You belong with them. I love them so very much. I trust them with my life. I trust them with you and your life. And it's kind of odd to think that I trust them with Sarah's life too. If anything ever happened to me and my mom couldn't keep Sarah, I'd want Michael and Linda to raise her with you as a brother and sister. Anyway, eventually they left to give us time alone together, and to be honest, most of the night is a blur. I was so exhausted in the morning when I had written in the journal that I was falling asleep mid-sentence. That's why it's so sloppy, and some of the words are misspelled. I'm not even quite sure if all of the sentences make sense, but anyway, I kept on falling asleep after they left. Sorry, allergies, my nose is itching. Mm. I kept on falling asleep after they left. You were sleeping anyway, so there wasn't a lot to keep me awake. So we slept a lot. You were right next to me all night. 2 nights in a row, you have never left my side. Unless the nurses came in to drag you off to the nursery for one thing or another, but even then, it was only for a couple of minutes at a time. So I'm ashamed to say that I slept away my very last night with you, but I couldn't help it, and I hated myself for it at the time. I kept on drinking Cokes and trying to get the caffeine to wake me up. I had some awful nightmares that night. I woke up from one not knowing where I was or what was going on until I saw you next to me and I realized. So I called the nurse and made up some stupid excuse for her to come to our room, and when she got there, I told her I just didn't want to be alone, and her name was I'm gonna cry. Her name was Rachel, and she was 8 months pregnant. She was so nice. She took very good care of me, trying to make everything feel better physically and emotionally. We talked about the adoption and about you and how beautiful you are and how much I love you. And we both started crying. I needed her to be there with me, and she made sure that no one bothered us. And that when they had to take you to the nursery, that they didn't keep you for very long. Sorry. I'll always remember her. I woke up in the morning when they came to get you for some tests and stuff, and I took a shower and ate breakfast. Then I went to go get you from the nursery, and we sat and cuddled for a while. You liked lying on my stomach with your head over my heart, all snuggled up, facing me, listening to my familiar heartbeat. Then my mom and Sarah came, and we all sat and waited in terror for them to get there. We waited for a few hours, and I really had to go to the bathroom, but I kept on putting it off because I didn't want to let go of you at all until they got there. But I had to go. So I handed you over to my mom and went to the bathroom, and of course, they all showed up right then. So I quickly finished up and ran into the room to hold you, and then they all came in. They walked in, and I handed you to Michael to say hello and all that stuff, and they were getting your clothes ready for you to get dressed. They had a little I asked them if I could do it, and so I dressed you in a beautiful sailor's outfit, my eyes blurred with tears, my hands shaking violently, and then I wrapped you up in your blanket and just sat there holding you crying. The moment was actually finally there, and I had never thought that it would actually happen or how it would happen. And there I was, holding my precious baby boy for the very last time. I couldn't give you back. I just sat there holding you close and crying and whispering in your ear over and over. I love you, Joshua. Please don't forget me. I love you. You had been sleeping all morning, and I wanted just one more time to see you open your eyes and look at me. I was praying the whole time to please let me see your eyes one last time before I let you go. And you finally did. So I kissed you and told you once more, and then handed you to Linda, and then you left. I had been trying not to cry too loud through the whole thing because I didn't want to scare Sarah. But as soon as Linda turned around and walked out the door with you, I couldn't help it anymore, and I just lay back and wailed and prayed that God would let me faint and wake up and have it all have been a bad dream. Michael had been in the room, but he left to go get the car, and he gave me a big hug and kiss before he left, and he was crying as he thanked me again, and I told him how very much I loved them both. Then he left, and that's when I was left with Linda, and the adoption caseworker had the nurse give me your hospital name card thing that was in your crib, and they cut off one of your ankle bracelets to give to me. My mom put them in this journal later when we were leaving the hospital, and I had forgotten that she put them in here until I opened this up a little while ago to write. Needless to say, that struck up a batch of new, fresh tears. Before Michael left, I asked them both one more time if I could see you again someday, if you wanted to see me, and they promised me that I could. The nurse came with a wheelchair for me, and my mom went down to get the car. They wheeled me out with Sarah on my lap. We got into the car and left the hospital. 2 days before, we walked in with you, and now we were leaving, and you were already gone, somewhere in the same city, probably at the hotel, and I even knew which one. I tried not to think about it. I tried not to think about my mom crying and wondering if she was okay. Sarah was acting very strange. She knew things weren't okay, and she was showing it in her own way. So for those two reasons, my mom and Sarah, I got it together. I calmed myself down and did the best I could to make Sarah feel better. We went to the grocery store and picked up some of the pictures we had taken of you and dropped off the rest of the ones that we had taken. We got some of, since then, we got some of the prescriptions and stuff and went home. I guess why I'm telling you this is to describe how strange it was that just a few minutes before I did the hardest thing I have ever done and probably ever will do, and life was going on. Everything was just going on, regardless of how any of us felt. Later, my mom and I sat down and had a nice long talk about everything, and we looked at all of the beautiful pictures we had of you. I intend to make copies of them and to send them to Michael and Linda. Later that night, my aunt and cousin from New York came. They spent the night, and the next morning, this morning, we got up and packed the minivan. My mom and I were in the apartment for the last time, saying goodbye to the only home you, Sarah, my mom, and I had ever known as family. Right before we left, I was walking through, taking a last look at everything, and I realized that I had forgotten the mirror on the bathroom wall. A long, full-length mirror, and I went to grab it, and my mom came up behind me and said no, that there wasn't any room in the van, and I just started crying and said, but that's the mirror I looked at him in every day. We went downstairs, got everything organized, and then I had to say goodbye to my mom. We cried some more, and she looked at me and said how very proud she is of me and that she thanks God for me every night. And then we drove away. Everything since then is not important. I've said goodbye to 4 very important people and 1 very important place in my life in the past 2 days. And I think that the fact that I haven't really slept for 3 days and then I'm writing in this journal at 5:02 in the morning shows just how much in shock I am. I don't know what to say except that I realized as we were driving today that if Michael and Linda could wait 20 years for you, then I can wait 18 to see you again. I also know that even though your name is now Brian Nelson, that you will always be Joshua and Michael to me. I kept the blanket that you were wrapped up in. And they came to get you, when they came to get you, the one I took off when I got you dressed. It still has a little stain on it from where your formula dripped from your mouth and bottle. I also kept the pacifier that you used for the first 2 days of your life. I also kept the shirt you were wearing and a little napkin thing that I had used to wipe up the formula that dripped on your chin when I held you, when I fed you. All of these things are safely put away in baggies, so they'll still smell like you later, especially the pacifier. Well, except for the blanket. It doesn't smell like you anymore because I've had it out and I've been snuggling with that and the bear that Michael and Linda gave Sarah, and my aunt smokes like a haystack in the car, so it doesn't smell like you anymore. But the teddy bear fur feels as soft as your head and hair if I stroke it like I did yours. They're both in bed with me here. I won't let anyone touch them except Sarah, and not even her unless I'm there. Anyway, I'm beyond exhausted, so if I have anything else to say, I'm sure it can wait. I love you, Joshua Brian, you and Sarah more than anything comprehensible to the human and superhuman mind. Good night. There's more, but that's the gist of it. It was really hard. Um, I mean, since that happened, I've met my son. I found him like 5 years ago or so, and we're currently somewhat estranged because of the recent suicide freak out over the last 2 years of mine, and he's one of the casualties. I kind of lashed out at him. Um, I don't know. Anyway, that's a whole other topic, but he is a grown man now, and he lives in Austin. He moved from New York, I think, to Colorado, and now he's in Austin, getting to know his birth city and the music scene there because he is an excellent musician. So all of that is great for him. Yeah. I'm not going to stay here too long because I'm really trying to feel good and this shit hurts. So that's enough for now. And if I read through and see that there's any more that's worth sharing, I will. But that's the story of him being put up for adoption. And then we'll pick up with what happened next because a whole lot of, we're not even, a quarter of the way through the story. There's so much more. So next time, thanks for watching.